Give thanks, blessings, God family. We are rolling through the mod detox. Today is day 20, and it's been such a powerful day. It's at the end of the day. It's actually night, so um, yeah, I'm definitely ready for bed soon, but I wanted to make sure that I got in these videos because it's been a minute since I checked in this way. But for those of y'all who've been joining us in the Rising, thank you so much. It's been such a beautiful time to resonate, connect, cultivate community while also meditating on these laws and then doing some comedic yoga. It's been a beautiful thing. So we're going to roll through these laws 14 through 20. And actually, excuse me, 14 through 21. Today is the 21st day. It's the 21st day of January 2025, but wherever you're viewing this from, we give thanks, divine honors, divine blessings for tapping in. You could always tap in with our group rising calls, the Ma'at Temple on Zoom. And yeah, it's been a powerful time. So I'm going to roll through these laws. So the 14th law, I am not born false witnesses nor supported false allegations. To me, these next few laws is going to be also related, just like we talked about before, but this is kind of going into a gossip aspect, right? So, we're not spreading rumors, we're not telling lies and untruths about people, moving in a way where we're creating chaos with our words, but we want to actually think about how the words we speak and the things we say about people, speaking life and uplifting them. So yeah, these laws are all connected in a way, coming up. Every single one is. And I think one of the interesting things that we've been talking about in the Rising too is how a lot of these laws you can literally see playing out in today, almost like our ancestors were like, yo, this is a code that is going to stand the test of time. I mean, maybe they didn't have that intention, but obviously there was some sort of eavesdropping and gossiping and stuff like that going on. And speaking of eavesdropping and gossiping, the 15th law, I have not been an eavesdropper or pried into matters to make mischief. So it's almost like, this conniving, almost sleazy type of manner and mentality that even the folks in Kemet were like, yo, this is not a vibe. This is a whole law that we gonna establish, not only in terms of, once again, this was deeper than a religious practice. This was a lifestyle. This was embedded in their politics. So when it came to laws, like, this was the law of the land. Everybody in Kemet, had to abide by these laws. So when it comes down to, not prying into matters to make mischief, like, just the idea of how sometimes we can be so into gossip culture that we don't even realize it, that we'll be talking so ill of each other, or we'll be listening to things and we know that it's wrong, or maybe we may be trying to listen into other people's conversations just to kind of stir up some wickedness. And it goes right into 16. I have not spoken against anyone. So a lot of us, we've become comfortable, especially in the melanated community, where we, like, for example, I think of rap battles, like all this dissing, all this arguing, all this, bickering about, whose side is this and who's the best at that and all of that. And it's like, there's not a lot of upliftment. A lot of times I like to tell my children, I'm like, man, y'all know what it feels like when people are ranking on you, like making fun of you, whatever the case. And you know how that feels. And then you also know how it feels when people are uplifting you. And why can't we do more of that instead of feeling like we have to constantly degrade one another, come at each other? And a lot of people will probably listen to something like this and be like, man, that's corny and whatnot. No, it's corny that we treat each other in such a terrible way. It's corny that we disrespect and disregard the life, the soul that's moving in these bodies. And for what? Because we've been conditioned to disrespect and hate each other. And it's just not right. So when we align ourselves with these laws of Ma'at, we are aligning ourselves with the divine. We're saying that, you know what, I'm not going to speak against anyone, because really whatever they may be going through is what they're growing through. They may be carrying some traumas that, because we live in a very uninformed society when it comes to trauma, like people just feel the need to continue to abuse people who have been abused. And a lot of these people who are abusing have been abused as well. So, really seeing the inner child in each other and really speaking life into each other, as opposed to speaking against, speaking ma'at as opposed to speaking isfet. So 17th law, I have not allowed myself to become angry without cause, right? And another way that this law was put is I have not disturbed peace, right? So not allowing yourself to be angry without cause, it's really that the intelligence, the emotional intelligence in these laws, like this is going to emotional control, like where sometimes, and there's different levels of anger. I'm taking this trauma informed certification right now, and it's showing like, there's underlying emotions or reactions based off of our anger, and then there's more of those emotions that are surfaced at the top. And we could see whether it's sadness or shutting down or different things like that. And so I think to be able to even like angry with a cause, right? Like, something may cause that, but what is the cause is really what is resonating with me based off of Dr. Muwata Ashby's translation. Because like, to me, a cause is like, if I'm fighting the injustices in the world. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, because we talked a lot about that this rising. It was a beautiful time. So yeah, this 17th law, I've not allowed myself to become angry without cause. I think is very powerful. And as opposed to feeling like we have to be angry for no reason or no justification. Not to say that, our feelings and emotions aren't valid. We just also have to be able to breathe through those moments and really make sure that, as we're reflecting and as we're dissecting the moment, it's like, all right, am I overreacting? And yeah, that's a beautiful thing once again about these laws, that they're so emotionally in tune. And these are not necessarily easy concepts for us, because we've been in such a hole, y'all. We really have, in terms of most people have really been suffering in a very metaphysical way. A lot of the damage, a lot of the scars are unseen, but we go through it. We as humans in this 21st century, all this technology, all of the nonsense that they're spraying the foods with, all of this, the toxins in the medicines, like people are going through it on many different levels. And then a lot of times we may be growing up with people, or even with our own parents, who may be abusive in different ways, and we don't even make those connections because it's normalized. It's normal to us, it's normal to our neighbors, it's normal to our cousins. So yeah, we got a lot of work to do. We got to put our families back in Ma'at, as we put ourselves back in Ma'at, as we put our friendships back in Ma'at, as we put the government back in Ma'at, as we put the hospitals back in Ma'at. It's a lot to do. The police, you hear them? They need some ma'at too. We all need some order. We all need some balance. We all need some truth. We all need some justice, some propriety, reciprocity, harmony. So, giving thanks. The 18th law is, I have not laid waste the plowed lands. So this is a beautiful law, because it's literally, to me, It's talking about environmentalism, right? It's talking about making sure that we're taking care of the earth. We are stewards of the earth, just like Asar, the good shepherd, or how they, even related Asar to Jesus, right? Because, I mean, it all comes from Kemet, baby. So, yeah, just making sure that we are honoring Geb, we're honoring this planet, we're honoring the earth by, not wasting these plowed lands, not laying waste to it, not littering. But also, I love how one of my sisters put it on the call. She was like, yo, to me, it's also making sure that we're cultivating the land, that we are feeding it the nutrients so that it can grow all of the abundance that we need, right? Like, I think of Central Park, for example. I don't live too far from Central Park. There's no reason why there can't be like edible food growing through the Central Park. There's no reason why we can't have like more community gardens. Like, it would be dope to see a community garden on every block as opposed to a Starbucks and a smoke shop on every block. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm thinking about laying waste to the plowed lands, it's like sometimes we throw some concrete over all of this beautiful soil that can totally transform, and grow amazing things. And so I think about this as, yeah, taking care of Mother Earth in a deeper way, and I feel like if we all came together and did it, it'd be impossible for the Earth to not rebalance itself. We wouldn't be worried too much about climate change because the Earth would be in a much happier position. But the only reason the climate is shifting the way that it is and the planet is reacting the way that it is because we're also unhealthy. So it's a reflection. It's a divine reflection. So once again, ancestors was on point with these laws. So we got three more. Excuse me. I have not committed adultery. So this was also an interesting conversation between me and the God family members who was up in the rising. We talked about the idea of monogamous versus being poly, and we also talked about like what adultery really looks like in modern times, but also back in ancient Kemet. And so there was a deep conversation in general in terms of like the honesty that goes behind it, right? Because yeah, we see a lot of different cultures who do celebrate this idea of polyamory, right? And we do see a lot of cultures as well that that embrace a different type of lifestyle when it comes to men and women relating, whereas we've been taught something very specific in Western society. And that's not to say, in Kemet, there was definitely monogamy happening. You could see that with the pharaohs, right? You could see that with their lineage. But defiling divine marriage is like when you are making a commitment and you're saying that you really are going to be with someone. So I look at it as honoring commitments in all types of relationships that we enter into, fostering a deep level of trust and honesty and respect for self and others. Because to say that, okay, I'm going to be with you, whether it's on some, way of marriage till death do us part, or even if it's on a vibe where, I'm telling you like, yo, instead of saying I'm going to cheat on you or anything like that, or not saying I'm cheating on you, it's to be open and honest with our conversations, in terms of how we may be navigating relationships in general. It is a sacred union, and it is reflecting a lot of cosmic principles, symbolizing like the different connections of just nature in general. We see it with the animals. We see it even with the sun and the moon in a lot of different ways. There's a harmony. There's a relationship that shows the sanctity of life. And so, I just think about commitments and having integral relationships in general. Sure, I think that it's easy to get deep into the concept of monogamy once again. Now, to me, it's interesting because I would rather someone be honest with me and be in a honest poly relationship than a deceiving monogamous relationship, because that's what we mostly see, and it's not even like they are really monogamous. They are actually like moving, a lot of people are moving in a way, and I'll speak on it because I see it in my family, moving in a way where it's like very dishonest, and they cheating on their spouses, and it's like, yo, you're coming with all of these Judeo-Christian beliefs, but you like violate them in such a foul way. And maybe it's in your nature. Maybe you feel like you want to be poly, but be honest, yo. You feel me? But anyway, it leads right into the next law. I love it. It's so poetic because the 20th law is, I have not sinned against my own purity. And yeah, it's one of those other ones where it's like, how we're even relating and treating ourselves in a way of like, all right, well, what do you define as pure for you, right? And I would love for y'all to just think about that. But when we think about like acting impurely or sinning against yourself, like it's a deeper level of respect, right? Like we just came from talking about being honest in our relationships, and now it's honest in our relationships with self, honoring and respecting your body, mind, and spirit, and striving to live in integrity, aligning your actions with your higher self, nurturing self-care, and really cultivating healthy practices that are going to align you with your higher self, align you with your goals, align you with the divine, and vibrate in a way that is going to have you feel in a harmony. Because there's a lot of people who just don't have that authentic relationship with self, and they're dishonoring their own bodies by living impurely. So yeah, it's very significant, and it goes to not only spiritual integrity but a moral conduct. It's a physical cleanliness. It's this is emphasizing like really divine order within self. So yeah, when we're promoting a lifestyle centered on balance and mindful living, that's when we can really start to just be happier, just be more at peace, just be more in tune with the divine, more in harmony with the divine. Yeah, so we're going to move on to number 21. With that being said, I have not caused terror. This was a very, where do I start? This was a powerful conversation today. I have not caused terror. We broke down the word terror. And when I think of terror, of course, we were talking about terrorists, but I asked everybody, how do you feel like you maybe terrorize yourself, or even have you terrorized the people in your day in and day out recently? Like, has there been a moment where you have caused terror in your own life? People talked about, at work and with their friends and with their children. And I know, like, even in certain relationships that I've had or have currently, I've been an agent of terror, and terror is indicative. It's really a synonym for fear, right? So when you're really enticing or inciting fear within your surroundings, your environment, almost being antagonistic. And we can see that one of the brothers today brought up this idea of politics, like even going back, how he was almost like, just going back and forth with one of his family members on the idea of politics, just to knowing that he was going to rile him up, and that his intentions were not necessarily pure. And I've been the same way. Honestly, I've been the same way, where I'll say certain things even if it's on the internet, and it's like, yo, I know that this is not necessarily going to get a positive reaction from people, and it's not fun, right? Yeah, it's right. It's about cultivating a mindset of kindness and calmness and nonviolence, and ensuring our words and our actions are bringing peace rather than fear or harm. It's also a commitment to being a place of safety, a sanctuary for others, as opposed to, you know, a walking piece of hell. Because it's really easy for us to embody that, because it's all around us. It's easy for us to reflect that. But having peace in our society and in our community, I feel like is such a more powerful choice. It's a more fun choice. It's less stressful. Yeah, so may we act in mindfulness and compassion. We talked about the idea today of terrorism as well, like terrorists, right? And how everybody is a terrorist to somebody. Now, I did kind of have a little bit of a thought on that, where, to terrorize is almost to, like, kind of go into a community and say, like, yo, you gonna totally take it over by force and entice fear, elicit fear onto the people in order for them to get what you want them to do, to abide by your type of things, right? And to me, like, whether it was the revolution in Haiti, or any people fighting back against any type of oppressor or colonizer, I don't think that's reverse terrorism. I think that's what we would call a freedom fighter. I think that's what we would call a liberator, right? Even when they're on the streets saying no justice, no peace, right? So if we're talking about terror, to me, that's the opposite of justice. So it's like, I don't necessarily see people who are fighting for their survival and fighting for their people because they have been oppressed, they have been abused, they have been attacked and hurt first, and going back to the law where it's like, I have not been angered without cause, right? So it's now there's a cause that we are engaged in to make sure that we are protecting our livelihood, protecting our culture, because people can lay down and just take it, but that's not ma'at. To me, that's not justice, that's not order. You feel me? So in order to put things back in harmony, we have to move in truth. And in moving in truth, it's not necessarily saying that we're gonna move in fear, in terror, but we're gonna move with justice, with freedom, and liberate those who need that. Or sometimes it's our own selves. Sometimes, these forces, these wars are going on inside of us individually. And to be able to really rise up within ourselves and say, yo, how have I been an agent of chaos and terror? How can I bring more balance and harmony into my own life to see that reflected outwardly? So, I'm just giving thanks right now, Dua Hetep, for all of the revolutionaries who have fought for us. Yesterday was Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, or excuse me, not his birthday, but it was Dr. Martin Luther King Day. Everybody was, off from their work. I want to just pull up this quote by Dr. King real quick that really touched me, and I feel like it was so in my eye that I have to deliver this. He said, and I quote, "You were born as an answer to a question and a solution to a problem. Wake up, take your place. Know that you are smart, important, and you are power." Giving thanks for you all. We celebrating Ma'at. We halfway there. We got 21 more days to go. Grateful for you tuning in. I hope this message resonated with you. If you did, go ahead and share it. You could like it, hit the thumb, and leave a comment. Let's talk. Tell me what you think. Giving thanks for y'all. Bless. Hetep. Stay rooted.